The Phenotype Mega Hunt, big idea. It's something that's never been done in a scientific way in cannabis. We're getting to see not only what, just like the Humboldt Seed Company's genetics, but what cannabis can do as a species, and really taking a look at that and casting a huge net to kind of capture these awesome unicorns. The first step in a real breeding program is, mashing strains together that would not normally be bred together, and then looking for anomalies, or we call them unicorns, in their phenotypic expressions, because you get a large spray of phenotypic expression when you take two distinct things and cross them together. The end product in mind, we want to pick something that's appealing to everybody, and we brought large-scale indoor cultivators in the mix, large-scale outdoor cultivators in the mix, nurseries, and then, of course, on the R&D end, we've got the folks from Orange Photonics who are able to provide us with all the cannabinoid levels of our selections right here on the spot. The other folks that we brought along, Phylos, amazing capabilities as far as diving into the cannabis genome and really giving us a lot of feedback on how the genotype results relate to what drives us to make certain crosses and make certain selections. So they can give us results, including how homozygous, which means how uniform our seed line is. So, do our OG types come out like an OG every single time? Or are we still, needing to do some work on that? Or do we have a consistent smelling like blueberry muffin? Of course, Dr. Allison Justice is kind of a celebrity when it comes to really optimizing plant growth, and particularly with her setting, which is an indoor grow, she can tell us a lot about these phenotypes and these strains that we're selecting in relation to how well they grow, how fast they grow, what kind of production we can expect, and tell people that they can expect. So Dr. Justice is definitely an amazing R&D addition to the team here. I feel like Humboldt Seed Company, we don't rely much on marketing and hyping. We kind of tell people how we're making what we're offering to them, and I kind of feel like that's why people are really drawn to us, and why we've been growing so fast, is because people see the care and thought and research that goes into making a seed line that they're going to depend on, or a clone line that they're going to depend on for their next growing season. And as we all know, it's pretty hard to make it in this competitive time in the cannabis space that we're in. So you better have on-point genetics, you better be a great grower, all the above. And we feel like we can at least check that first box, which is your genetics are fire. And that's why we love working with Dark Art, because they have the ability to propagate them and provide a nice product. We phenotype hunt from 10,000 plants, so there's care going into the clones. There's a lot of care and thought going into selecting the strains that then get spread out to our great state. So as far as the actual logistics and nuts and bolts of phenotype hunting, we developed a phenotype rating system, a database that it all gets entered into. And really the variables that we look at are, of course, flower quality, terpenes, cannabinoids kind of come first. But we also definitely take into account vigor, certainly strain stability. If anything shows any signs of, mutation or hermaphroditic characteristic, we kick it to the curb.
I think this is definitely a first step. I think that the work that we're doing now, and especially the collaborations that we're developing, will dramatically enhance the ability to develop new strains in the industry. We'll be able to produce much better strains much more quickly, because we're working through this together. We don't all have to work in a little silo, right? We'll be able to really accelerate that. I mean, the varieties of cannabis that'll come out in the next 10 years will blow away anything that's ever come out before. It'll be incredible what we'll be able to offer. We'll offer smaller plants and better color plants and higher potency plants and lower potency plants and novel cannabinoids. I mean, stuff that we've never imagined before, and it'll be able to grow in environments we've never imagined before and resist diseases in ways that we've never imagined, and produce yields that we've never imagined, and flavor profiles for consumers that, just you open it up and you say, oh my gosh, how are we still coming up with new flavors for cannabis? So yeah, I think it's a really exciting time to be around the plant, to be around the plant science, be around the breeding in particular. One of the great things about working with Humboldt Seed, I mean, we're so well connected, not only in thinking about the plants, but also in thinking about, in sort of our mission and our cause for being in the industry, and wanting to carry through some of that character, make sure that the work that we're doing benefits, not only the plants and ourselves and our families, but also our communities and the causes that are important to us.
Happy Dreams Farms, our dreams to grow cannabis in a more sustainable fashion where we don't put a negative impact on not just the watershed by incorporating dry farming techniques, but also on the soil biology in itself, using no chemical fertilizers, minimal inputs, and just basically natural earth elements. We want to grow in a way that's unique. Grow for terpenes, grow sun-grown, premium flower in a biodynamic fashion with the living soil and in a floodplain with virtually no water. The river is right along here, just a few hundred yards away. So plenty far enough for the fish and wildlife to be happy how we farm here. This is a farming community, and in the past the people didn't have hoses and pumps, so they would farm in areas where you have the alluvial fan of the river deposited this prime soil here. It's roughly 8, 9, 10 feet deep here, and then the water itself is underneath this whole valley. This valley is a rain catch. So the water's caught on the hills and funnels into the flat of the valley, and they want us to have rain catches and stuff, but it's here. It's just 10, 12 inches under the ground. So we don't actually need a pond or a storage tank or anything. It's right here. So the neat thing is what we do is we plan in, you could go in any one of these rows and just dig down basically. So we do like to take away the weeds so they don't compete with the water. It's just we get way overloaded on our size. But if you take away this top layer, and instantly you can see here, you're already starting to hit the water table. So as you got that darker colored soil there, there it is. So enough water exists here in the third week of September in 80-degree weather, where right here, this is it. So you can see right there when I scrape my hand, look at all the wormholes. So it's just wormholes after wormholes. This is a root of an alfalfa. So we cover crop the whole field. And then this next layer right here, you can clearly see all the worm. There's actually, what we added was a small amount of biochar, and ironically that we didn't add, so that's away from the plant. So this is probably ancient burnt material from some farmers of the past. So being this was alfalfa here and redwoods, someone burned the trees down at one side. There you're seeing like natural carbon biochar, and if you squeeze that soil, it's clumping together. That's enough for the plant right there. So we're the total opposite of like feeding, top water, hydro, into fiberglass cubes and indoor. That's the opposite of what we do. That's just feeding water, 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 water drain to waste, waste to the sewer, sewer to the ocean, chemical fertilizers. We do the opposite. We don't do anything. And actually what happens is, by keeping the soil dry like this on the surface, is the sun bakes that top layer and heats it, and then right underneath, as you saw, the water is, so the water tries to evaporate up. So being that there's like forest matter underneath here, that's almost like a naturally occurring hugelkultur. And then with the evaporation of the water, it's almost like a reverse deep water culture. Our water is deep underneath here, and it's evaporating up into the plants, and provide, you know, a whole watering system with no hoses, no pumps, no storage tanks, and the rain's caught underneath the ground. With the seed breeding and the pheno hunting, we're trying to find ones that jump out that are actually more unique. So crossing stuff with the uncommon. That's really my biggest interest, is that like each plant has something, and finding the unicorn, it's, for me, is on a, you know, it's on a natural existence of like, okay, I like the smell, I like the structure, I like the vigor, I smell something different in there, that's definitely different terpene. And I think the terpenes are gonna be one of the most important things. So I've been trying to aim towards growing 4 terpenes.
The pheno hunt's honestly something we've been doing for a long time, but in a much smaller capacity, obviously. Like, we couldn't have these big fields of ganja and have everyone come and visit them and a lot of publicity around it, because it was a much more quiet, hush-hush thing. But for our own internal breeding, we've always been heavily selecting for the ones we define as the strains that we're creating. So the one that has this kind of smell profile is disease resistant, is extra vigorous, finishes before the big storms come. Those are the ones we've always we find a really good one, we would keep it on clone and then use that for next year's seed production. And now that we're able to work with Dark Heart, we're able to blow it up to 10,000 plants and hopefully 40,000 next year and 100,000 after that, and be really doing these, what needs to happen is these large population selections to really find the new, and smells that haven't been smelled before, and flavors that haven't been tasted, highs that haven't been felt. I believe cannabis will change the world. It is one of those unique things that we haven't really seen in our lifetime or in lifetimes before us. We've evolved with this plant, and it's been totally taken away from us during Prohibition. So it's really interesting that there's been the plant that we've been cultivating for the longest in the last 2 generations has gone through a period of Prohibition. So we've lost all that knowledge, and rediscovering that is going to be one of the biggest changes for human evolution that we'll see within our lifetimes for sure.
My name is Allison Justice, and I'm with Alco, VP of Cultivation. I have a PhD in plant environmental science, and I was doing consulting for large greenhouse growers across the country, doing IPM consulting mainly. And cannabis growers also have problems with insects and disease, so I started getting calls to come and consult in the cannabis industry, and just saw that, you know, the industry was a researcher's dream. So eventually made cannabis full-time. This experience has really helped me see, you know, what it truly means to pheno hunt. And I've learned so much about breeding, you know, seeing what Humboldt Seed Company can do by doing crosses, and then seeing how either consistent or purposefully inconsistent those progeny are. Like when we look through the blueberry muffins, seeing how consistent that is, because I know when I've done many pheno hunts at our shop with a pack of 10 or 20 seeds, you know, they're all extremely different. And so knowing I can go to a company and get seeds that their progeny are very, very similar, it's really cool. And just, you know, for Dark Heart to be able to come out and see a plant in live form after repeated back crossing and, you know, very scientific, purposeful breeding, put that out to the public is just where the industry needs to be.
I'm Adram Darwish, and my wife and I, Siobhan, own this farm. This is Blessed Coast Farms, and this is our 3rd year of operation, and we're the first licensed farm in Humboldt County.
We decided to go legal because really we wanted to be on the up and up. We wanted to continue to be farmers and create clean cannabis. The Pheno Hunt is really something special to us because it's really important to continue to keep and preserve those Humboldt classic strains. You know, we're really talking generations upon generations upon generations of people breeding these seeds. I mean, this is really what Humboldt is about, you know, and so for that as well, for the history, and then for the consumer, you know, it's really about continuing to grow and produce and deliver the best medication possible.
I'm Dylan Wilkes. I'm the CTO and one of the founders of Orange Photonics, and what we do is we make analytical equipment focusing on the cannabis industry. In this case, we have a liquid chromatograph that tests for cannabinoid content and semi-quantitative terpene content. And so this is something that I'm one of the principal designers of the device. It's something that in my family we've done many times. So I'm a 3rd generation spectroscopist, and so 3rd generation person that makes this kind of thing. So this isn't far from the tree, but what we've kind of done differently here is focus on the cannabis industry, and we have made a specific device that's able to measure cannabinoid content and terpene content. Yeah, this Pheno Hunt's been a huge, interesting thing for us. I've never been to so many outdoor farms, and so seeing the outdoor stuff is really interesting, and seeing the variation and how they're selecting it has been really interesting. And kind of also, to be honest, we should know better, but it's really interesting to see how something like a testing device fits into the whole equation of picking out and breeding great marijuana.
My name is Lisa. I'm from Kind Peoples in Santa Cruz, and this is my personal unicorn of this entire field. I'm getting bananas, I'm getting jasmine, I'm getting pear blossoms, and it's bringing me right back to my Nona's garden. This is Canna Nona's garden right here. She's just beautiful. I'm in love with this plant. I'm in love with this plant. There's no other way to describe it. I'm literally a child all over again in my grandmother's garden because of cannabis.
Our role in the Mega Hunt is to help provide really good genetics to Nat and the Humboldt Seed Company and the cannabis market. Just find all the good phenos with good noses, good structure, good production, and all around just a really good plant. The Humboldt Seed Company is a great company to work with. It's good and key to find companies that you like and have good genetics and that are just good people and want to keep advancing with you as a company. It's really important to have that relationship. I think breeding practices like this is very important and vital in keeping good, strong genetics around. A lot of people take too many cuts and the genetics get too weak. You know, you got to keep them strong. You got to keep good genetics coming out. You just got to keep it healthy.
The Phenotype Mega Hunt was pretty transformative for me. It's great to get out of the lab, away from the computer, and really see the plants growing in a natural environment. I think that this is the first step really to understanding how genetic variation is expressing itself. And I saw plants from a single cross that were so radically different, from having pink pistils and ultra compact bud structure to having more distance between the inner nodes and green versus purple flowers. It was really great to get to witness how that variation was expressed.
It's mutually beneficial that we can have these awesome strains to bring to market and be continuing to perpetuate the work that's being done up here in Humboldt and in the Emerald Triangle, to bring that to the rest of the state, to preserve this legacy and to keep it going among all the craziness of legalization.
So I have to be totally honest, I didn't know what to expect with a Pheno Hunt. As a gardener, I'm ridiculously interested in it, and as a writer, and somebody who loves telling stories, it's like stumbling upon a gold mine of all these people who haven't been able to tell their stories or whose stories are rapidly changing.
I mean, this area that we're in right now and where almost everything that we've built comes from, it is like truly such a special place, and to also have grown up involved in seeing the tribes out here still practicing their cultures is something that I think isn't really accessible in many areas. And so that is something that, you know, along the lines of cannabis, we have also always tried to kind of consistently preserve, which is something that it's a kind of an odd combination, because a lot of the times you see people coming out into areas like this and they don't take care of the land in the way they should, you know, whether it's illegal grading, whether it's draining the rivers, or anything really that is going to impact our life cycle that we have going on here. I mean, it's plush, like it really is. And so I guess just to also grow up and see the way that cannabis can have a positive impact on a community, like whether or not it's people, you know, bidding on a pie at the school's pie auction for $500, or even just growing with the land and making it all sustainable, and still being involved tribally, even growing with tribal members, or, you know, whatever it is, it's that, and continuing to give back and stick with our organizations. It's very crucial out here, I think, because there's not many places in the world that still have their culture preserved like this. And I think that at this extent, to keep on taking away or damaging any level of that at all is wrong for anyone coming into this zone. So as much as we can do ever to preserve what everyone is blessed to have out here, it's that's our goal in the end.